tonight, unions confront the federal government over industrial reforms. Family laws under the microscope. And the push for a Southern Highlands Children's Health Ward.
Win News, late edition.
Good evening, I'm Geoff Phillips.
And I'm Kerryn Johnston. Also tonight, the effect of suicide on families.
And city strategy feedback. Confrontation today between trade unionists, Federal Attorney General Philip and the Liberal Senator for the Illawarra over industrial relations reforms. Unions urge Senator Concetta Fierravanti-Wells to listen and act on the will of the people when the IR reform bill goes to the Senate.
The senior trade unionists waited to issue the Industrial Relations Reform Challenge.
Look, you've made some very provocative statements about what the true wishes of this community are about the Industrial Relations Bill. So we say, let's settle this once and for all.
Disagreement came as the Minister and the Senator left a Wollongong function.
What sort of job opportunities are those? And what about the effect on families?
Family breakdowns.
Family breakdowns as a consequence of lower incomes.
I think you're making a speech.
No, well...
The Illawarra Senator was challenged to abide by the will of the people after an independent survey.
Yes, well, why don't we submit to the challenge?
And the people of
Will
the
you
Illawarra
submit to the challenge?
Well, will you vote according to the wishes of the people?
Will you vote
The Senator says she is willing to discuss IR reform at any stage.
When we look at these and think about this in a year's time, I think people will really ask what the fuss is really all about.
Peter Andrea, Win News.
The federal government's push for industrial relations reforms is now under attack from Christian groups. Counselling services are also concerned that if parents are forced to work weekends, it may be to the detriment of their children.
The Australian Christian lobby says children are at risk, and there's a real need for the government to reinforce the family unit, not to undermine it. It wants businesses to retain a premium for people to work on weekends and public holidays. As Lifeline wraps up its 3-day annual convention, it says working more hours could lead to family breakdowns.
Well, I guess it's just one of many factors that make it perhaps less likely that people have quality time together, which means it's less likely that they're going to notice what's happening with one another or to perhaps take the time to just sit down and find out how people are going.
The Christian lobby's criticism comes a week after the Queensland Commissioner for Children found youngsters are committing suicide at an earlier age. In the past year, 9 children under the age of 14 took their own lives and is attributed to a lack of stable adult influences. Lifeline says we all have a role to play.
I guess people need to be willing to recognise not just the superficial things about what's happening in relationships, but to recognise when perhaps things aren't going well for folks, and not to let that pass, to actually ask them to reflect and comment on the fact that they seem to be struggling at the moment.
The Queensland Commissioner has called on other agencies to help collect national data. Adam Rascal, Win News.
As the rate of divorce continues to climb, a new approach to family issues will be rolled out across the state. The Attorney-General outlined his plans for Wollongong, but agencies are waiting to see how things will work in reality.
Opening the Families in Transition conference, the Attorney-General spoke of the heartache and financial challenges brought on by divorce.
You can't separate and establish 2 households and keep them at the same standard of living with the same resources as one.
Wollongong will be one of the first 15 locations to house a family relationship centre, due to open late next year. Ruddick revealed the plans to a room packed with family service providers.
Be encouraging agencies like ours and lawyers and others to work together to help people through a family crisis problem rather than going to court.
While all agree anything to help families through tough times should be encouraged, but reactions are mixed.
The Family Law Act still has as the ultimate solution to these problems is not a good approach.
We've talked about it being mandatory for people to go to mediation once there's a breakdown. Well, I think we've got to look at how we do get people there, and we always have to act in the best interest of the children.
Tenders are being called for interested businesses. Stephanie Hunt, Win News.
Planning staff at Wollongong City Council are feeling positive about public feedback on the revitalisation strategy. There's a degree of scepticism, however, from other members of the community.
In Council's overview of public submissions, the head of strategic planning says building height is no longer a major concern to the community, with focus shifting to street-level design.
What they've realised that is if you get the bottom bit right in terms of what happens at street level,
then whether a building is 8 stories, 9 stories or 10 stories, in fact, is really a design outcome.
But many still claim heights are of major concern. Several submissions included specific queries about building heights, including those from the Planning Institute of Australia, the Royal Australian Institute of Architects and the Urban Design Institute of Australia. Central Wollongong resident Len Fairs says height concerns have been a common topic at neighbourhood meetings for the past 2 years. Council's now awaiting the state government-appointed expert panel's comments and believes it's due a favourable response.
Council accepted all of the recommendations from the expert panel before it went to exhibition, so I'd say at this stage in the piece the expert panel is probably very satisfied in terms of Council's response.
However, Council has not accepted all its recommendations. In August this year, the panel advised against Stage 1 plans for the Dwyer's site redevelopment, which Council subsequently approved. Noni Edwards, Win News.
A vision to establish a new children's ward in Bowral has developed into a dedicated fundraising effort. The BDCU Children's Foundation was launched overnight with the message it won't stop until its mission is accomplished.
The idea came about through personal experience.
The crowded bedrooms, the not much privacy, the bathrooms, everything just needed probably knocking down and starting again.
For children and their family to have to access their ward through an adult short-stay ward is unacceptable.
A common goal of improving Bowral Hospital's children's ward has inspired a 21-strong committee, which has only praise for the medical staff who work in the tired facility. The BDCU Children's Foundation launch crowd an indication of the local support.
It's nice to see that we're still a small enough community that the interest is there.
The foundation has also approached politicians to take its message to the state government, who have urged the Health Minister to release the region's clinical services plan.
They've got wonderful plans about what it could be. What we need is the state government to set out its plans for the future of the hospital and the children's ward.
The fundraising efforts, also aimed at developing ancillary support services, will continue for as long as it takes.
When your children can't do or act for themselves, when they're reliant upon a parent or an adult to look after their interests, that's when you really know you have to fight.
Jessica Hall, Win News.
Coming up on Win News, Bateman's Bay CBD plans.
And funds urgently needed for children's road safety. Young students have pedalled their way through the rules of road safety. Each year, 5,500 local youngsters take part in the Lake Illawarra PCYC program. But with the loss of a key sponsor, it's struggling to stay upright.
It's every kid's dream, swapping classroom lessons for a day cruising on a push bike.
Left, right, looking for bikes, looking for motorbikes.
But parents are happy too. They can rest assured their children are up to date on their bike safety.
When you go around the roundabout, you have to indicate right or left. You have to stop at the traffic lights. You've got to stay on the left-hand side.
Just learning about bike safety and that some people don't wear their helmets, they unbuckle it. And it just gave me lots of information that I didn't know.
Is the only one of its kind in the Illawarra region. So we get kids from 5 local government areas, around 80 schools a year attend. So for a lot of these kids, I'd say the majority, it is the only chance they get to participate.
But despite the importance of the program, the PCYC does not receive funding from the government. Each year, the club needs $40,000 to keep things running. With the recent loss of the RTA sponsorship, the club is down $16,000. One option is to charge kids more.
There is a lot of people that are economically challenged and have trouble meeting their day-to-day costs, let alone, excursions and education for the kids. So I guess, yeah, there would be a lot of people affected.
Anyone who can help with funding can contact the PCYC. Stephanie Hunt, Win News.
Bateman's Bay residents have had their chance overnight to express thoughts concerning the CBD structure plan. A wide range of topics was covered, with the meeting involving representatives from the retail sector, service industry, landowners and professional groups. The gathering called for the plan to ensure the CBD is well positioned to meet the needs of business, permanent residents and those who visit the Bay. Traffic management and car parking were other key issues addressed by the gathering.
The Shoalhaven has been overrun by fit health professionals. It's hosting the 29th annual Inter-Hospital Olympics.
There was plenty of expertise on hand for any sports injuries, sprains or strains, with 1,060 very keen health workers registering for the Inter-Hospital Olympics.
The whole idea of the Olympics is all about encouraging hospital staff to participate in something for a bit of fun and health and fitness.
Competitors took part in darts, surfing, volleyball, netball, lawn bowls, 10-pin, touch footy and soccer. Bocce saw serious competition.
Yes! Beauty!
The three-day event benefits the Shoalhaven District Hospital.
And we look like we may have raised somewhere in the vicinity of $25,000.
Peter Andrea, Win News.
No longer the stuff of science fiction, the role of men has changed forever. A researcher in family law says it's time for a forward step in policy making.
There aren't many men who feel they play the same role in the family as their father did, due mainly to economic changes in the last generation.
To buy a house nowadays, we have to have two partners, both partners working. Just that in itself creates new tensions in the relationship.
Dr Howson believes a men's movement has emerged, made up of groups like the Fatherhood Foundation, but feels the federal government position is based on backward engagement.
We're trying to get men engaged in the family, but by going back to traditional values and roles that aren't meeting the reality of everyday life for people.
Sex Commissioner Prue Goward agrees Parliament views are based on outmoded ideas about men, women and families.
While I'm supportive of aspects of the government's policy, I think that down the track, if they keep going, then it's only going to fall over itself because the world is moving on and we can't go back.
Noni Edwards, Win News.
A new method's been launched to help children with behavioural and learning problems. Based on the paradigm that learning difficulties are related to developmental issues, the extra lesson uses sensory exercises to retrain the child's mind.
It may look like a simple child's game, but these exercises are helping this boy overcome an auditory processing disorder.
Which means that the words that come in, like if he hears two words at the same time, he doesn't necessarily hear them separately. He can combine them.
The exercises are part of a program developed in the United Kingdom called the Extra Lesson, designed to help children with learning, motor, social and behavioural problems.
Most children who have got learning problems are going to have self-esteem issues, and that's what we address so well in the Extra Lesson, is that feeling of sense of self.
Extra Lesson practitioners say exercises that use balancing skills like picking up marbles with your feet and throwing a beanbag help children become more focused without the use of drugs.
Now the children who don't have balance in their body, if they move away, their head moves away and they've lost you actually. And to retrieve that back, they've actually lost already what you have said.
After 5 one-hour weekly lessons, Casey's mother has noticed improvements.
He has more confidence to try to do new things at school, and he's actually improved at school even in that short amount of time. So yeah, it's definitely been worth the effort.
Belinda Ryan, Win News.
The end of an epic 5-day fundraiser between Albury and Wollongong in the Mall Amphitheatre this afternoon. Cyclists taking part in the Gone But Not Forgotten ride visited 6 major townships along the way, keeping alive the memory of the many who have lost their fight with cancer and raising funds for the ongoing fight against cancer. Among those taking part in the ride was former Dragons and Illawarra Steelers captain Chris Walsh.
On the stock market, BlueScope Steel was trading at $7.54, up 16 cents. BHP Billiton closed at $21.85, up 45 cents. AMP was up $5 to $7.61. Telstra up 11 to $4.12, and the IMB down 2 cents to $3.05. Sport is next, and Dragons dominate the side for Sunday's Tri-Nations Test.
They certainly do, Kerryn. Trent Barrett and Jason Riles have joined Mark Gasnier and Matt Cooper in the starting squad. Also cricket, and the Hawks receive a boost ahead of Sunday's clash with the Crocodiles.
Good evening. Wollongong will be chasing its 6th straight win this weekend when it takes on Townsville at the Sandpit. The Hawks could be without Glenn Saville, who's battling a leg injury, but they've received a boost after Adam Capehorn was called into the Boomers squad.
Adam Capehorn has been riding a wave of good form in recent weeks. Now he's been rewarded with a call-up to the national team.
I was hoping to give myself a chance by playing a bit better lately, but it was definitely a surprise when I got the call.
The guard has been a key figure in Wollongong's climb up the ladder. and he's looking forward to the chance to press for a place in the Commonwealth Games squad at a training camp in December.
It's a whole new level, I guess, the international level, and like you said, it's a long way from making the team, but it's the first step, and I'm pretty excited about being involved.
Cape Horn could carry plenty of responsibility into Sunday's clash with the Crocodiles, with co-captain Glenn Saville still in doubt after injuring his leg at training earlier this week.
We'll all have to, really. I mean, he's such a key player for us. Obviously, I don't think one person's going to fill in and just cover that gap.
The Hawks are on a 5-match winning streak, and despite going into Sunday's game as favourites, they're expecting a tough test against Townsville, which suffered a narrow loss to the Kings last night.
They're a quality team, but all we can do is focus on what we can control. We've had good success against them. It's our home court, and we're hoping everybody comes out to get us across the line.
Tip-off at the Wollongong Entertainment Centre at 5 p.m. Sunday.
Dragons have dominated the Kangaroos team named overnight, with Trent Barrett and Jason Riles called into the starting lineup. They'll join Mark Gasnier and Matt Cooper in the run-on side for Sunday's Tri-Nations test against Great Britain.
Today the Kangaroos had a close-up look at some of the history of rugby league. On Sunday they'll try and continue their own proud history when they take on Great Britain in the last Tri-Nations test before the finals.
You don't want to be the first one to get beaten in 30-odd years, so it'll be very embarrassing. So it's definitely a big motivation to sort of win this weekend.
There'll be plenty at stake when the two teams take to the field in Hull, with a place in the final up for grabs.
Pretty big game this weekend. Both sides are going to be very desperate because pretty much whoever loses is out. So, both teams are going to have it all on the line.
Jason Riles and Trent Barrett have been called into the run-on side for the weekend's match, as has Penrith halfback Craig Gower. Riles has taken the place of veteran Steve Price, with Trent Waterhouse coming onto the bench.
Also just gives us a better balance, there's no doubt about that. But we've got someone that can get to the try line, someone that can, run a bit wide, and certainly got a lot of mobility about him.
Wynn's coverage of the match begins at 5 a.m. Sunday. Terry Aylett, Wynn News.
All the action of the rodeo comes to Dapto tomorrow night with the running of the South Coast Bull Riding and Bronc Riding Classic. Preparations for the Classic have been underway at Dapto Showground for the past few days, with a big crowd expected tomorrow night.
The crowds have increased every year. We've tried to make the concept that is bigger and better than the last year. Probably expecting about 4,000 people.
It's the 9th year the event has been staged, and planning is already underway for next year's 10-year celebration.
So we'll sort of just try and grow the event, make the facilities better and just make it more enjoyable, and something that the Illawarra can be proud of.
Gates open at 4 p.m. tomorrow, with action getting underway at 6. The Southern New South Wales Country Cricket Championship is being held on the South Coast for the next 3 days. Today, Newcastle passed Illawarra's total with the loss of 6 wickets, and Southern Zone rolled Riverina by 1 run.
Newcastle has been a heavyweight in country cricket for a decade, and this morning proved why.
We got off to probably a shaky start. We were 2 for 10, but a good innings from Graham Batty and Aaron Hickson have got us to a position where hopefully we can launch to get something around about 220, 240, which is going to be a competitive total on this deck.
The pair piled on the runs and helped the Illawarra into the 90s with an array of shots across the park. Batty lived up to his name and top scored for the Illawarra with 37 before Ben Woolmer struck. His knock saw the Illawarra revise its total to below 200. Just a few balls later, fellow destroyer Aaron Hickson was dismissed for 32. Josh Lehane came to the crease and kept the scoreboard ticking, but the Illawarra only reached 164. Late this afternoon, Newcastle was 6 for 120. Woolmer finished with 5 for 52 off 11 overs, while Southern Zone made 206 against Riverina as Barrel's Cameron Belshaw belted 52. At final drinks, Riverina was 6 for 118. Illawarra and Southern play at Geoff Shaw Oval tomorrow. Adam Rascal, Win News.
It's the Dragons race day at Kembla Grange tomorrow, with dressed-up fans getting in for free to meet the players. The Kembla connection likes number 4 in race 6, Hole in One, trained by John Hawkes and ridden by Alan Robinson. That's number 4 in race 6. And that wraps up this week's sport. Geoff, have a great weekend.
And hole in one is something I've never had on a golf course either. Maybe one day. Thanks, Amy. The weather details are next. Then University Art goes on display. Mainly blue skies across the region to end the working week. The afternoon sea breeze cooled the coast. No rainfall to speak of, but that might change tomorrow. To the satellite photo, nothing in the way of cloud for the viewing area, but there is a ridge of high pressure affecting most of the state. A trough should produce a change tomorrow, with another high arriving on Sunday. Temperatures for today: Wollongong got to 26 degrees, 25 in Bowral, 27 in Nowra, 22 in Ulladulla. Bateman's Bay hit 26, Maria got to 21, as did Narooma. The top was Bega with 28, 8 to 23 in Merimbula. The forecast for the Illawarra and the Highlands: a fine, partly cloudy start to the weekend, then isolated afternoon or evening showers and thunderstorms. It will stay warm with fresh and gusty northerly winds ahead of a milder southerly change extending from the south later in the afternoon or evening. Ahead of us, showers for Sunday, but they should clear on Monday before they return on Tuesday. For the south coast, isolated showers and thunderstorms, fresh to strong northerly winds ahead of a milder southerly change extending from the south later in the morning or early afternoon. Seas running at 1.5 to 2.5 metres on a 1.5 to 2 metre swell. Our first tide tomorrow is low at 4:24. The first high of the day comes along spot on 11 o'clock. To start the weekend, fairly warm, 28 degrees forecast top for both Wollongong and Bowral, getting up to 32 in Nowra, 30 in Bateman's Bay and 26 degrees in Bega.
A diverse collection of cutting-edge art and design will feature in Wollongong University's School of Art and Design graduate exhibition. The event is a launching pad for up-and-coming artists who've spent months perfecting their impressive pieces.
It's something to crow about. The work of 84 creative arts students hung and on display for their graduate exhibition.
So we've got textiles, photography, painting, sculpture, all sorts of different things. And then within graphic design as well, we've got multimedia.
Aptly titled Welcome to the Flight Deck to signify the students taking off into the wide world of art, the exhibition plays a vital role.
So it's important because you can take it out to get a job as a portfolio piece. And it's also an important exhibition because it shows the Wollongong community what art and design is about.
As always, there are messages which speak louder than words.
Well, Marie Partridge's jackets are about commercialism and how we, if I can speak for her, how we clothe ourselves in commercialism, how it's taking over our lives. So she is questioning that sort of thing, corporatisation.
The exhibition will be unveiled tomorrow night at the uni and will feature until December 9. Jessica Hall, Win News.
In the season final of 60 Minutes on Sunday night at 7:30, reporter Liz Hayes tackles the controversial issue of teacher-student relationships. That is the news from across the region for this Friday night.
News headlines can be found on our website winnet.com.au. From the Win News team, good night.
This has been a Win News presentation from Australia's largest regional television network.